There you go.
Hey.
Perfect. So, Sarah, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. Just recovering from the holidays,
I know.
But yeah, but I'm good otherwise. How about you?
I'm doing amazing. I mean, what better way to start an epic evening with someone as talented and such a career.
Thank you.
While I was doing the whole research, I was speechless, basically.
Oh, thanks. That's really kind.
That's
I
so cool.
appreciate it. I appreciate it. Also, if you hear whining in the background, my dog is making some noises, so
Oh, it's
I
fine.
apologize.
If you hear a couple of dogs barking, are my 3 dogs, so that's fine.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean perfectly. So, welcome to the show. As I said, it is really
Thanks.
amazing and cool to have someone with such a resume as yours. So before we start,
Thanks.
I have to give you a proper welcome. If you have seen some of my episodes before, you know exactly what I'm about to do. If not, let me show you that. Yeah. Amazing.
That's awesome.
Love it. At some point we're gonna have live audience. We're still working on it. You know how it goes, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. So you are a speech language pathologist, singing, performing, and singing teacher, which is badass, by the way. But tell me, how it all started. What triggered that passion?
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up singing all my life, and I went to college for an undergraduate degree in opera performance. So I did a lot of formal training there. And unfortunately, during that time, my own voice had its fair share of problems. I just had a lot of technical issues and health struggles with sinus infections and allergies. And no one was really able to help me, not really my singing teachers, not really the health or medical community. And I just was like, I can't go into a singing career right now, not like this with my voice. And so I decided I gotta look for something else. And I heard about speech pathology and that you could do voice therapy. And I was like, great, that sounds like a better fit right now. It also buys me time to continue working on my voice so that I can develop this other career. And then if I want to still sing, I totally can, and I can still train. And that's exactly what I did. So, during my graduate school experience, I studied voice therapy specifically really aggressively because that's what I wanted to specialize in. But I also kept up my singing training. I found a voice teacher who was very science-based and very based in some of the principles I was also learning as a speech pathology student. And so those two things combined, I actually was able to fix my voice. I got my voice much more stabilized, much more functional. I could perform again. It was great. And so I've really now launched into this career where I now do that for other people's voices. I give them very much a science background, very much an anatomy-based background to their voice, and I kind of specialize in helping really tricky technique problems in singers and speakers.
Wow. That is so amazing. Wow.
Thanks.
I love it.
It feels good on the other side of it. It was hard at the time.
Oh yeah,
but it feels good on the other side,
of course.
For sure.
I mean, it is so interesting that whenever you get into a position in which you can which you can talk about all of your achievements. I mean, it is amazing, of course, but the fact that there's a lot of hard work that we sometimes don't know. I mean, and once we taste a little bit, you're like, yeah, okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And there was definitely some heartbreak in there too. When my voice wasn't working for me, it was really stressful and really upsetting. And I left singing lessons just sobbing in college, just so upset about it. And that's why when people are in front of me and they're feeling so down about their voice or so upset about it, I so empathize with them, because I've been there. I remember that kind of heartbreaking feeling, and I have seen the other side of it. So I love making that a part of my job, is helping people to see that other side of when they're having a voice problem.
I love it. I love it right now. I mean, we should definitely do right now. We should make t-shirts saying #Team Sarah right here.
Oh, thanks.
We should definitely be doing it right now. That is so cool.
Awesome.
Wow. Well, and you know what? It gets my attention because, I mean, at least, for so many people, we don't pay attention too much about our voice. You know what I mean? For example, if you want to sing, you will only take sing lessons, and that's fine. But there's a whole process behind it that you need to take care of it, and that sometimes if you exhaust your voice too much, then you're definitely not going to be able to talk. You know what I mean? There's lot of things that I think that we still don't know about it.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot that goes into a sustainable career using your voice. It's not just taking singing lessons or doing acting training. It's also all the vocal health stuff, like you said, pacing your voice, not overusing it, being careful what environments you're in. staying really hydrated, all of those things can make or break a voice and can be the difference between an injury or not having an injury.
Oh yeah. Okay. Now, you have maintained a clinical caseload at the Grabshite Voice and Swallowing Center of Mount Sinai Hospital, and you also serve as adjunct faculty at Pace University, where you teach the graduate level voice disorders course. Now, for those who don't know what, like all of this, can you explain us a little bit? And also, like, what this course is all about?
For sure. So at my clinical job, that is at Mount Sinai, which is a health system in New York City, in the States. And I do voice rehabilitation there. So I do exclusively clinical work where I'm helping people who have either a voice injury or a voice disorder. They have been clinically diagnosed with some kind of voice problem. And I'm helping them to return to their baseline using science-based voice therapy strategies. And a lot of it is speaking voice focused, although I certainly work with a number of singers and we do some singing voice rehabilitation too. There's a lot of emphasis on the speaking voice rather, in my clinical job. And the Pace University course, Pace is also based in New York City. Those two kind of go hand in hand because my job at Pace is basically to teach graduate speech pathology students how to do my job. So I give them their foundations in clinical voice therapy. I teach them about the anatomy, the physiology. We go through how to evaluate a voice, what are all the different voice disorders you could possibly have, which ones are appropriate to treat with voice therapy, and what specific therapy techniques might you use to treat those patients. So they also need to have clinical experience in order to be able to really flesh those skills out, of course, but I teach their class to at least give them all of that foundational knowledge to then take into the clinical world.
Wow.
Yeah,
so
it's
cool.
a fun class.
Yeah, but it is so cool because, as I was saying before, at least to me, there's like a lot of things that that I didn't know about it. That, for example, if you that sometimes we can exhaust our voice too much to a point that we can say that, okay, it's fine. I just don't need to talk for the rest of the day, and that's fine. And but no, there's like a whole other things behind that we don't know. And I think that is also one of the cool things that we are advancing with everything these days. The fact that we can discover new things, and the fact that there are so many things behind it that just that with a voice, that with a voice being like so important, basically.
Yeah, I think people don't realize, even beyond just singers and beyond just performers, everybody uses their voice. So if you lose it or you're having a problem with it, that's the difference between being able to make a phone call or not.
Totally.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, you also regularly present educational lectures on vocal health and performance and manage a singing studio for private clients. So tell me, what are some of the challenges that someone might have when they starting taking singing lessons?
Yeah, for sure. This one I think actually applies also to the voice patients I see in my office. But to me, the sign of a mature singer, meaning they've been at it for a while, is they've developed their inner voice. So someone who's really new to singing training won't have that inner voice developed yet. That's the inner voice that tells you, this feels good to me, this does not feel good to me. This sounds good to me, this does not sound good to me. This sounds like what I'm going for, or they're asking me to do a sound that doesn't sound like my style or doesn't sound like me. It's that inner voice that tells you if that teacher is a good fit or not, or a safe fit or not for your voice. And it's also that critical thinking skill as a part of that inner voice to be able to listen back to a recording of yourself and say, I feel like my larynx sounded a little raised on that one, and I feel like it sounded a little bit too bright. I'm going to try a more mid-larynx position, or I'm going to try a different tongue position, or those kinds of critical thinking skills to be able to even coach yourself a little bit and really take your voice into your own hands. And I think that that's a skill that new singers don't have, and I was that at one point in time, and I think that I was given advice by some people that I trusted or some people that I was sampling lessons with that it wasn't good advice, and it took me years to kind of develop my own inner voice. Even right now, I study with an amazing voice teacher. I still train my own voice. She's amazing, and I even still take what she's told me, go home, think about it for myself, and make it make sense to myself. Because that's how I get better. It's not enough to kind of just have someone give you advice, but you actually have to kind of take it and run with it and make sure that it's safe for you.
Totally. Wow. And that, we have sometimes we can hear stories that for singers that they push their voice too much, that they ended up having that they ended up having like a surgery like
Totally.
quickly because they totally busted. It's totally busted, and they need like to fix it as soon as possible because they have like a tour coming up or something like that. It is amazing. Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Now you also your research has covered a wide variety of topics in voice, like swallowing and upper airway disorders. So can you tell me a little bit more about those disorders?
Yeah, for sure. So there's three kind of main categories of voice problems. One of them would be, in layman's term, like a voice injury. In clinical terms, we'd call that a phonotraumatic lesion, meaning phono meaning voice, traumatic meaning trauma. Basically you've traumatized your vocal folds and they've now developed sort of like a callus on your vocal folds, whether that's nodules or whether that's something like a polyp. So those are the kinds of injuries that typically are associated with overusing your voice, either too loud, too much, or too tense for too long. So those are kind of like the injuries. As opposed to, there's also just behavioral voice disorders to the extent that you're too tight when you use your voice. So some people use so much muscle tension to talk or to sing that their vocal quality sounds very distorted. They have a lot of symptoms of fatigue and strain and soreness and pain with voice use. That's not usual. You shouldn't have pain with voice use. So that's muscle tension dysphonia. So there's no true injury, but the technique they're using is a problem. And then the other category is neurogenic, meaning a nerve injury of the voice box. So that could be a vocal fold paralysis, where one vocal fold doesn't move at all, or it could be a partial paralysis, which we call a paresis, where there is kind of a weakness or an asymmetry in the way the vocal folds are moving together.
Wow. And so in 2020, your study on voice feminization through voice therapy and surgery was published in the Laryngoscope and presented nationally at the Full Voice conference. So tell me about that experience and how was your reaction when they told you that they were going to basically publish your study?
Yeah, I was really excited. I mean, it was the first research project I had been on where I was the first author on the paper, and I got to do the presentation at this national conference. So I was really excited. Of course, I was kind of nervous for the presentation. In some ways, I got lucky because it was during the pandemic. So it was actually a virtual presentation that I got to pre-record, which definitely took the nerves down a little bit, that I didn't have to do it live. I just had to answer questions live, which was nice. And the topic was really interesting. It hadn't, at that point in time, there hadn't been a ton of research on it. Basically, I was talking about the benefits of surgery for people seeking a more feminine or higher pitched voice. More often than not, that might be a trans female individual or a non-binary individual seeking a more feminine quality in their voice. I work with a surgeon who does pitch elevation surgery to help with one piece of that picture, and prior to 2020, there was some research on it showing that people could do it successfully, but we added a lot of research to show that it could be done and that it actually was beneficial, both in terms of we saw pitch elevation and we saw improvements in quality of life on standardized surveys. So it was an interesting project, and I was just excited because it was kind of my first research project where I really got to take the lead on its sort of public facing aspects.
Wow, that is so amazing. But I bet that, for example, when you got like a voice surgery, I mean, the whole the whole therapy in order to recoup strength and everything must take like a very long time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely, that's something that we recommend when we work with people seeking that more feminine voice, because it's not an injury so much, it's just they're seeking different qualities in their voice. And we usually recommend a lot of voice therapy before surgery so that they're prepared for surgery and how to use that mechanism better afterwards. And then we usually continue with training afterwards. Most people who do that specific pitch surgery, they end up having like pretty good voice around 3 months for sure.
Wow.
It depends on how easily they use the voice. Some people have excellent voice within 2 weeks, but some people who use a little too much tension, still it takes a little longer.
Wow. Now, you also earned an MS in speech language pathology from Northwestern University, where you have focused your studies in training and voice rehabilitation. So tell me, what could be some of the benefits of taking voice rehabilitation?
Yeah, so I think doing voice therapy it really teaches you a lot about vocal health. So all things vocal health, which ultimately sets you up for a more sustainable career and like career longevity. I mean, a lot of voice athletes, whether you're actors or singers, will have some injuries throughout their career, but it kind of minimizes the risk of that and minimizes the length of time you might be out of work if you're taking the best care of your voice as possible. There's also a lot of speaking voice training involved in voice therapy, and I think that all performers especially would benefit from speaking voice training with someone who specializes in speaking voice, not just in terms of the kind of like cliche speak from your mask, but actually getting down to how do I feel resonance in my mouth? How do I adjust my articulators to feel that change in where I'm producing voice or where I'm focusing my voice? And learning it in a really anatomical way for you as an individual, I think is a skill that for any performer, they'd really benefit spending the time training the speaking voice just as much as they might train their singing voice.
Okay. Wow. Now on your website, that those who haven't checked it, go check it right now. It's on the bio. You just go on her profile, go follow her first, then leave a like, subscribe, leave a couple likes and then go check the website. So on your website we can see some of the services that you offer. Like some of them are singing technique, public speaking, vocal rehabilitation, and vocal heal lectures. Now let's start with singing technique. Like what can you tell me about it?
Yeah, for sure. So I use a very science-based approach with each person, but I keep it also really individualized. I'm very much against the one-size-fits-all. I think each person needs a catered approach to them individually, and then all of those techniques are based in either research or they're based on my understanding of the anatomy and physiology. I'm not very imagery-based. I'm much more like tactile-based, like let's play with moving your tongue like this, let's play with adjusting your lips like this, let's adjust your soft palate. I'm much more specific than just imagery, which is something I appreciate for my own singing learning. That's what I bring to my students, and a lot of what we focus on is balancing the three systems of voice. So in order for your voice to work, we have to have breath. We exhale as we talk, we exhale as we sing. Our vocal folds have to come together. They're in the shape of a V, and they come together and vibrate on that exhale. And then we change the shape of our mouth and our throat to resonate differently. So, for example, in my speaking voice, I can change the shape of my vocal tract to sound really nasal by having my soft palate down, or I could kind of like swallow my sound and sort of like keep it deeper by lowering my larynx, opening my jaw, and bringing my tongue back a little bit.
Cool.
So I can change my resonance through those different changes in articulators. And so in the singing voice, it's about balancing those three things, making sure that your voice is not working too hard and that your airflow and your resonance are working harder for you by being balanced. So there's some specific science-based techniques I use to do that, and then I also do a lot of tension release. So a lot of tension release of the tongue, of the larynx, of the jaw, and I definitely get pretty aggressive with tongue-based tension just because that's often the most under-addressed thing I see in people who've maybe studied with other teachers and then come to see me later on in life. Usually they just haven't done enough work on their tongue and tension here. Your tongue actually attaches to your voice box. So if your tongue is tight and putting too much pressure on your voice box, it really messes with your sound and your comfort.
Wow, okay. I love that. That's so cool. And let's talk about public speaking. Like what are some of the benefits here, but also like some of the things that you teach?
For sure. So I think my main goal working with anyone on public speaking is let's make it entertaining, And I think that that's where my background as a performance major in college and kind of continuing as a performer is helpful, and also the work I've done on making TikTok videos or making Instagram reels and just like having to be in front of a camera and watch myself and like smile and be different personalities. And, I think all of that background helps with this. But in terms of making it entertaining, there's a lot that goes into it. There's, from the beginning, just writing the content of the lecture or the talk or whatever you're giving and making sure it's concise, clear, that it's organized well and actually makes sense in terms of the structure. Then it's also how you say everything. It's the speech pattern. It's what pitch patterns you use. It's what rate of intonation you use. It's which words are getting the emphasis. Where are you taking pauses? All of that very much goes into how we receive messages. And then the last layer is adding on that stage presence. It's finding how do you do eye contact depending on the context that you're in, whether it's virtual or whether it's in person. How do you do eye contact? How do you, kind of have personality? How do you nail the jokes? And then how do you nail the important statements? So I really help clients kind of from the beginning of making sure the content is good through the whole, how do you actually perform this like a performer, but making it still natural and sound like you. It's a fine balance.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. I mean, the more we talk about it, the more that I love it. It's so cool.
Awesome.
It is so amazing. And yeah, I mean, also your TikTok videos and your Instagram reels are awesome too.
Thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I mean, also, if you're watching this later, if you're watching this right now, or you're watching this later on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple Music, after watching this, go watch a couple of her reels or TikToks. They're amazing. I'll leave likes, subscribe, follow, whatever, come back. I love it. But yeah, it is really cool. And
thanks.
What can you tell me about Vocal Heal Lectures?
Yeah, for sure. So that is a service that I offer to a variety of different types of clients. I offer it to singing teachers for their singing students, to do a group class, whether that's ultimately like a university voice department. I've done it for acting studios before. I've done it for summer opera programs before. And it's basically a vocal health class where I have a PowerPoint and I go through all of the, kind of injuries that you could possibly have as a vocalist. We talk about a lot of vocal health strategies. We do some myth busting. We do a little bit of interactive speaking voice work technique just to give an introduction to what healthy speaking is. And it's a fun class, and it's that kind of class that I saw as an opera student that actually inspired me to go into speech pathology. So it's a type of class that's near and dear to my heart, and I think it can make a really big difference in vocalists' vocal health. I mean, a lot of times they don't necessarily get that information right away as a vocalist, and so having that kind of just spread out in a whole class, I think can be really helpful to give them a leg up.
Okay. And what advice could you give to those who want to start vocal rehabilitation process, and how can we find you if we want to acquire your services?
Totally. So just to clarify, vocal rehabilitation, that's kind of that more clinical, you have a diagnosis of your vocal folds being a problem, or there's some kind of injury or some kind of disorder there. Rehabilitation is the thing for you. Voice therapy is the thing for you. If you generally have a healthy voice, there's not a diagnosis, you don't have extreme muscle tension dysphonia or anything, then singing lessons or speaking voice coaching is more appropriate. That's more habilitation rather than rehabilitation. And the way to know what you might need if you're having a voice problem is to get a vocal fold check. So to have them use a camera to look at your vocal folds, see if there's any diagnosis at play, and then that care team can help you decide, oh, let's just get you in a singing lessons, or oh no, you should see our speech pathologist for voice therapy. And so the first step is, in most cases, is probably getting that vocal fold check if you're having an unusual voice problem. So for those of you who are based in the New York City area, I'm at Mount Sinai in New York City. We do vocal fold scopes there, we do checks there. I work with a surgeon who does them, and then I do voice therapy through Mount Sinai. If you're looking for more like singing lessons or just speaking coachings or more that kind of habilitation side, like maximizing your potential, that's through my private studio, which is my website listed on my Instagram bio.
Okay. And also it's going to be on the description of the YouTube channel, so you can
perfect.
Yeah, it's going to be in the description. So amazing. Love it. Now,
awesome.
You also hold a certificate of clinical competency in speech pathology. You are certified in level 1 and 2 as still voice training. You are a member of the American Speech Language Hearing Association's SIG3, nationally recognized special interest group in voice and upper airway disorders. You see, you have a badass resume here. I mean,
thank you. That's really nice.
And you specialized combination of singing background, performance experience, and clinical education and expertise have enabled you to serve elite performance, including Broadway singers and recording artists. Now, you also enjoy performing on a regular basis, and you also earned a Bachelor of Music degree in vocal performance at Chapman University. So tell me, what are some of the things that you enjoy the most when you're performing?
Yeah, I think that my favorite thing is if I ever get the chance to make someone laugh. that, for whatever reason, just really puts a sparkle in me that,
Yes.
the kind of like more serious moving pieces, just for whatever reason, don't
Yeah.
quite do it for me. But just getting to make someone laugh is like my favorite thing. And I think that's why even when filming like TikTok videos and that kind of thing, my favorite ones to make are actually the lip sync videos where I'm lip syncing to some kind of character voice and just get to be really silly and like funny
Yeah.
with it. Yeah, I think because my job feels very serious. I feel very serious in New York. And so I don't know, just the chance to do the comedic stuff is definitely by far like my favorite character to play when I'm working on an acting piece.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And it's so interesting because like you get the chance to enjoy it, and the fact that if you are doing something that you enjoy, but you can make people happy of it, that's really cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, something about seeing people smile and laugh is totally what does it for me with performing.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Now on your Instagram page, which is amazing, we all know that. We can see a lot of different either TikTok videos or Insta stories or even Reels as well. But like, what gave you the idea to start creating those? What triggered and be like, okay, I want to do it. And what are some of your favorite ones?
Yeah, for sure. So I think what happened is I was kind of obsessed with TikTok during the pandemic because it was when we were in lockdown, we couldn't go anywhere, So I was watching it a little bit obsessively, and I kept getting these videos on my feed that were about vocal health or were vocal health tips, and a lot of them were really misinformed. Or even if they had some decent content, there was usually just something a little off about them, or just not how we would describe it clinically. And there really wasn't anyone on TikTok that I was aware of who was a speech pathologist talking about vocal health. And I just felt really motivated because I was so frustrated with this misinformation on that platform that I wanted to set the record straight about what we do know and what we can say, and then what we actually don't know, what we can't say. Yeah, so that's how I got into it, and it just turned into something bigger than I expected.
Oh yeah. And what are some of your favorite ones?
Yeah, for sure. I think the ones that I probably most passionate about and seem to do the best or just like be the most popular are actually the ones I do about tongue tension. So anything I do about how to work on tongue tension, I enjoy making because that's content that I feel like a lot of people don't get always in their singing lessons or their voice training. And it seems like people respond the most to those ones. So whether it's making a silly sound like that one was definitely a fun one to make, or working on tongue stretches, like how to actually pull your tongue. I'm passionate about making those ones, but it does also seem like people respond to those ones. Like that's filling a gap in people's knowledge a little bit.
Yeah, okay. I love it. Yeah, the other day, I saw one. Would you do it with a straw?
Oh yeah, for sure. Straw phonations, classic.
Yeah, I love it. I was like, okay. And it's so cool because like I was watching some of them, and like instantly your head is like, let's try that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you start trying it. I love it. I love doing that.
That's awesome.
Or like, for example, I got an interview a couple of months ago. This voice actor that she will upload every Thursday, I think, or Tuesday. Yeah. Like tongue twisters, and they're so cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Totally.
I love it. Now, if you could describe your career at the moment on a movie, TV show, book, or even a play, why not? What would be the title of it?
So this is very cheesy, but it's actually one of my Instagram posts from a little while back that I made up, and it would be a big voice starts small. So, there a lot of what voice science is that you take just the vocal folds vibrating, and it's really just a small sound, and then you resonate it really well so that it's big. You don't push it to be big, you don't strain it to be big. You learn how to resonate it well so that it ends up being a big voice. And I feel like I'm kind of at this junction in my career where I've done a lot of training, I've done a lot of studying, I've done a lot of hard work the last few years, and now I feel like my own voice is starting to get a little bit bigger. Like I'm reaching more people and like connecting with more people, and I feel like my own voice is getting bigger. So it's cheesy, but I think accurate.
I love it. And what would it be? Movie, TV show, book, or play?
Ooh, that's a good one. I don't know. I mean, I feel like life is more like a TV show than it is a movie, that's always a new season, right? And I feel like I'm starting like season 3 of my career.
I love it. Yeah. And who knows? I mean, at some point, since basically Netflix is doing shows about everything.
Yeah.
I think I just gave a millionaire idea to them. Who knows?
There you go. I'll have to pitch it to them.
Yeah. Yeah, don't worry, don't worry. I'll be sure that I'll be tagging Netflix from here on out. Whenever
Oh,
I'll be
perfect.
sure to count on that.
Amazing.
Perfect. Now, if you could describe your career again, but this time on a drink, which one would you choose?
So I would choose a very specific drink. It is the Citrus One juice from Pressed Juicery that I am currently drinking right now. And
Okay.
I chose it because it's an ultra hydrating drink. So to the extent of like what drink might be best for your voice, or we don't want to drink anything that would be dehydrating. So an alcoholic drink would be drying to the vocal folds.
Okay.
This drink would be the opposite, of be ultra hydrating. So that's why I picked it. It's got cucumber, pineapple, coconut water, lemon, and aloe vera.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Wow.
it's pretty good.
That sounds super cool and also super healthy. And it makes me
Yeah.
feel bad because then the other day they asked me that question to me and I said a shot of mezcal. So
Well, I mean, that's way more fun. I just can't say alcohol as like the vocal health person.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't do it. Don't drink. Anyway, yeah. And like my last question here is, so what motivates you? Because we all have, like, no matter what you do, we all have those days in which we just don't feel comfortable anymore. We just think that what we're doing, it's a waste of time, or we
Yeah.
just think that we should do something else, or we compare our careers with somebody else and we see them thriving and be like so successful, and you feel like a total failure. But like, what makes you be out of all of those toxic thoughts and just continuing do what you do, which is amazing, basically.
Thanks. That's really nice. I think for me, it's when I see someone having the change in their voice that I had from when it went from feeling kind of broken to feeling like, oh, it's actually getting better now. And I've actually found someone who can help me and actually knows how to work with me. And I've had a number of patients, particularly in the singing voice, that they've felt lost for a long time and felt misguided for a long time and confused, and they finally feel like once we've worked together that it makes sense. I'm seeing the change, I'm hearing the change, I'm also feeling it. It feels easier, and it's like these light bulbs that go off. So when someone has those moments and they attribute it to the work that we've done together, for me, it just feels so full circle. It feels very like, this is why I got into this field, and like, this is what makes it worth it when someone feels like they finally are found by someone and like feel seen by someone. So yeah, that's definitely what makes it motivating to me to keep going.
Wow. And it is so interesting because, like, you will, like, especially, I mean, I would assume in the whole entertainment business, regardless if you're an actor, singer, whatever, that it gets very tough and very lonely at some point, and like, especially when you're in the journey, when you are starting it, when you're like creating it, when you're like really into the hustle part, I think it gets really, really challenging. And also, in order for you to become better, or in order for you to find like an expert tool, sometimes you will find things that apparently are healthy for you, but at the end, either they ended up being a scam, or they just mess up with your voice or whatever you're doing,
Yeah, for sure. I'm very happy and fortunate at this point in my own vocal training that I feel like I've surrounded myself with people I really trust and like really respect, and it feels, it's just something that I wish that for any singer, at some point in their development, to feel like they're really seen by the people that they work with, and that they're being guided appropriately. And so for me, when someone feels that way when I'm working with them, that's like the most motivating thing for sure.
I love it, Tara. I love that. And because of that, I have to drop the mic. So yeah, I love that.
Awesome.
But I mean, what you do, it is really cool. I mean, keep doing it, because as I said, I mean, you just said it before, the fact that your voice is becoming stronger here, a lot of more people is reaching out. I mean, I was watching the comments a few minutes ago, and there are people from Vienna watching it right now.
Oh my gosh.
Which is really cool. Thanks so much. I mean, it's probably too late, but thank you so much. I love that. Like, all what you do is really cool, and the fact that you're paying attention in something, which is the voice, as we were privately saying, that there is like a lot of misinformation and a lot of things that we don't know, that I'm super sure that if we knew, we would be like taking conscience, like, oh, like I'm messing up, because as I said before, for some people would be that whenever your voice feels crazy or you can barely talk, you could be like, yeah, just have some ice on it and you're good to go, you know.
Yeah.
And things like we might think it's normal, but the fact that you are working on that and you are also doing it with entertainment as well, that is really cool. It is genius. I love it. I can't wait to see more of it, and I'm super sure that eventually we're gonna either see your books. I'm super sure that books are coming soon, and a lot of epic stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. This was a great chat, and like great to just get to talk about all the things I love to talk about.
No,
so this was really fun.
I love it. And also, I want to thank those who are watching this right now. Thank you so much. Also, if you're watching this later on YouTube or listening it on Spotify or Apple Music, make sure that you're following Sarah in all the social media. You know, normally what I would do is super simple. So you're going to put pause, but you're going to leave a like, subscribe, follow. It helps me a lot, and I will love you forever. And then, you know, since it's holiday season, who cares about being healthy? So go eat a cookie or the whole box, you know, who cares? And then
drink water.
and drink water after. Yeah.
For your voice.
For your voice, absolutely. But don't forget the cookies. And then once your stomach is full and you can't move, then you're gonna grab your phone and then you're gonna follow Sarah. You're gonna make sure that you're gonna share all of her content. I mean, let's make her trendy today, tomorrow, every single day. Let's make trending hashtag Team Sarah. And also, Sarah, before I send you off, if someone would ask me what I think, that was my battery ran back.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. So what I was saying here, if someone would ask me what I think about your career right now, I would say this. Amazing. Amazing. And also, before I send you off, I need to send you off properly for someone as talented. And I mean, the list goes on of compliments because you're basically killing it here. So let's go. There you go. Amazing.
Thank you.
I love it. And yeah, so keep killing it. Keep being amazing. I can't wait for your content for next year. Have an epic new year. Eat a lot, sleep a lot, drink water a lot, and I'll see you next time.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Have
Happy
a good
New
one.
Year.
Bye.
Bye.